We're live. Hi, everyone. So good to see
Hello.
you. Yeah, Zeta's in the chat. I just saw Morg put that in there. We are so excited on this live stream. You can already tell, you can already see we have a guest. This is Lee Seymour, who a lot of you already know as Sinfully Cerebral because Lee comes to a lot of our live streams. And we're just thrilled that you're here tonight. And the reason is Lee just published a that was your first one, wasn't it? Your first blog
On Medium, yeah.
on Medium. And yeah, look, everyone's saying hi. Philip, why don't Philip just dropped the link to Lee's Medium channel,
Hey, Morg.
and
Hey, Becca.
you
Hey,
can
Joanna.
you can go ahead and I've already followed Lee. That was the first article. There's hopefully many more to come. And Lee talked about tonight's topic, which is reality tunnels. And so we thought, you know what? Why don't we do a stream on it? And because I don't think a live stream has been done on reality tunnels. And I know Morg did a video, but that was several years ago. So why don't we talk about it tonight? Make sure that you guys all have any questions answered. And we only have an hour, so I'm going to talk very quickly about what a reality tunnel is, and then so that the guys can get in and start talking about it too. Basically, the term was coined by Timothy Leary, who's a really interesting character, professor, very involved in the psychedelic movement. He was a psychology professor too, and researcher. And also, then the term was really developed more by Robert Anton Wilson, somebody who I keep hearing the name of, but have not really looked into him. I know he's connected with Discordianism, which sounds very interesting, but that is not the topic
Yeah,
for
I'm
tonight.
I'm not really familiar with his work
I
either.
I keep meaning to look into him more. It looks fascinating, but you guys can look that up if you want to. It's just the term reality tunnel that we're really discussing tonight. So very quickly, a reality tunnel is something that each of us has. It's you can think of it as a construct. Based on biases and beliefs, things that have been taught to us, the culture, anything that's kind of like a filter that you organize and interpret experiences through the way you see the world, basically.
Yeah,
So,
shapes your worldview.
yes, and a lot of people may not even realize that they have one. In fact, most people probably aren't aware. And some of these reality tunnels that we carry around with us can really be harmful. And we're going to be discussing all of that with extra, hi, Elise, extra like peripheral kinds of topics. So I think we should start maybe with something to help you guys understand it by something that you already are familiar with, that we have talked about a lot. We've done a video on, which is the way our senses limit what we know of reality,
Yeah.
what we come into the world with. And Philip, why don't I know you did the video on for our
Yeah,
channel.
that was a pretty good video. I think that was a couple videos ago, but that was called The Senses in Reality. I think Susan will probably, well, you can go on our channel and find it. Just
Yeah,
browse
it's
through some of
recent.
our
Yeah,
videos.
under videos.
But that video was a really good one because it highlights that we don't all see objective reality the same way. It talks about our individual senses and how we perceive the world. And really, our perceptions are a component. Can you hear me? Lee's tapping is. Can everybody in the chat hear me?
Is the sound quality okay, everyone?
Okay.
Can you hear Lee? Oh, Lee, you're
Oh,
muted.
Lee's muted. Yeah. Oh, okay. Corvus says you can hear me. Okay. So while Lee's trying to figure that out, I'll
Okay.
just continue. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay, so in that video, I kind of talked about how our senses help us perceive the world and kind of shape our perception of what we experience. And so our perceptions are just another component, another layer to our reality tunnel. So we don't experience reality as it truly is, and so we kind of have to understand our reality tunnel and our worldview that's shaped by all of our experiences, our beliefs, all of those different things. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. If you're interested in the senses and reality, you should check out that video. That's actually the title of it. But yeah, it's really interesting trying to understand reality because we don't have a sensory apparatus. We don't have a sensory apparatus for truth, is what I'm trying to say. So we kind of have to get a feel of the world through our own individual reality tunnel.
I know what somebody just asked me recently in terms of a reality tunnel is there just, do you just have one tunnel or do you have many tunnels? Is there a tunnel
Yeah,
for,
I like that analogy.
yeah,
I like that. I like
it,
that a lot.
yeah, it made me think. So I'm going to tell you what the way I kind of visualize it, and then you guys can say if that's similar to you or give. I mean, I'm such a visual person that when I'm trying to understand a concept, it helps me when someone says not just the definition of it, but how they use it, what they think of, and give examples. So for me, one of the things that works is I think of it as each component that I have, like the fact that where I live, the culture around me, that's one tunnel. But then, and so
Yeah,
it's like a layer of a tunnel around me, like a tube. And then maybe there's one on the outside of that one. And for me, they're like different colors almost. So if you took a cross section, it would be like kind of like a rainbow. And another tunnel might be the fact that I think things very critically about things.
yeah.
I
See, I love that you mentioned the word component because it's important to emphasize that a lot of things can go into your individual reality tunnel. And so I know I mentioned to you your education. It can include your upbringing. I know the other night when we talked, I mentioned, a lot of times people say nature versus nurture, but both of those things go into your reality tunnel. You know, your living conditions, the way that you were brought up, your
yeah,
education conditions, all of those different things play a part in your reality tunnel.
yeah.
I
Every
think the important part that we don't really talk about is the limitations that we set on ourselves every day, and then the certain levels of self-deceit that we engage in every day as well. When we wake up and we tell ourselves that the job that we go to we don't hate, or that we don't have a problem with what's going on with our family or at work issues and stuff like that, and we continue to engage in these same activities over and over again, slowly trying to tell ourselves that it's okay and it's fine and there's no problem, but
Yeah,
really
yeah,
we're engaging with this fantasy world all around us just by slowly lying to ourselves every day over a period of time.
yeah,
yeah. I think it's really good that you highlight that as well. And I know you mentioned the fantasy world that we live in, but also we have a fake self called the persona. You know, mental states play a huge part into our reality tunnel, and the persona that we create for ourselves is something that we shape with our worldview of how we want to uh, be perceived by others as well. So you're kind of thinking not only about yourself, but also other people's reality tunnels and how you engage with other people.
engaging with other people is a huge point. I know that Morg has talked about this. That reality, it's important to know your own reality tunnels, but also to recognize that other people have them, and remember that they're completely unique to each person. So it's
Yeah,
not as though everybody is given the same reality tunnel. Not at all. I mean, I don't have it definitely conditions our perceptions. Morg said, I don't have that religious reality tunnel that was put on me. I mean, some things we pick up ourselves, some things the tunnel is given to us. It's, just from society, from um, like something like religion, other organizations, and then other things that we pick up and add to our reality
right.
tunnel, things that
And
we like.
I know that you've said many times, Susan, that you were never brought up with the religious aspect, but I think it's also important to understand that our reality tunnel is not permanent; it's changing and fluxing. And so, some
Mm.
people
Yes,
who have
absolutely.
left religion, they lose that aspect of their reality tunnel. They kind of remove that, and they're constantly shaping themselves.
Yeah,
And we'll get into that a little bit later in the stream about
yeah.
removing different aspects and recognizing different aspects of your
Yeah.
reality tunnel.
But even my lack of having a religious reality tunnel is a reality tunnel of itself, because I've recognized that I tend to think that other people have the same experiences that way. And it's been definitely eye-opening for me to come to understand the strength of the religious reality tunnel on other people. I always
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that is like it comes from my own reality tunnel of thinking that I don't. It's hard for me to understand the strength, the power of some of these systems.
So
Do you think
earlier you were talking about the visual aspect of how you visualize internally when you're trying to think about the construction of your reality tunnel, right? So for me, I like to think of it as different types of noodles. Not even like the same type of noodle, but like a lasagna noodle and a spaghetti noodle
Oh,
and angel
really?
pasta. And then they're twisted together. And some of them are like frayed at the end. They've broken apart into new noodles and they're just twisted and turning all around each other. And even though some of them overlap, some of them are connected, some of them look very similar, they can all be very different. And I see this a lot with people who subscribe to religion and materialism, where they think that, oh, I have to work, 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 work all day long, constantly, because this is the only way for me to reach religious or spiritual satisfaction in the next life. And it's just so strange where you're subscribing to this idea of meaninglessness, purposelessness, right? Because of nihilism seeping in through capitalism and slowly sucking the life out of people. Right? But you subconsciously are looking for something greater. And you think it is completely removed from you. You think it's not something that's possible for you unless you just fantasize about it all day. The closest you can get to it is to close your eyes, put your hands together, and build an imaginary world. That's the only way for you to get close to the sense of spiritual, like, peace almost, right? And it's just so strange when it's like you're telling people, like, hey, we don't have to work as much, or we don't have to harm each other, or it's unnecessary for people to have to go to jail and other people to pay fines and stuff like that. They can't, when we start talking about the critical thinking aspect of their reality tunnels, it's almost like a pile of mush and slop. And it's just all coagulated into this gel and pressed really hard because they're confused, they have no sense of clarity, right? They don't meta think at all, no metacognition. They're just like consuming
So
garbage.
when you interact with somebody and you can see where they're coming from, do you sort of visualize their tunnel the way you're visualizing your own, and you see like if I was looking at somebody and I saw it their tunnel and saw, oh, this is where they're coming from, and I can see those aspects, and and the ways that their tunnel is different from my tunnel. I mean, I was telling Philip earlier, one of the ways that I think everybody would instinctually understand a difference in a reality tunnel is when you're talking to a child. We don't need to
Yeah.
be told, we don't need to learn that you can't interact with a child the way you would interact with an adult. So we automatically adjust for interacting with a child because we understand, even if we don't have the words for explaining, oh, that's the reality tunnel of the child that I have to take into consideration. We just immediately understand that there is something, a quality there that we have to take into consideration in order to talk to that child. So having that sort of level of whatever cognitive ability a person has, that would be a
I think it's a
reality
part of
tunnel.
having emotional intelligence to be able to do that. A lot of
Yeah.
people think that they're extremely rational and they have no idea how to look at their logic format, what their thoughts are, what their ideas are, the paradigm that they're under, and scrutinize it. But they believe that they're logical, right? But they have when we talk about even when we're talking in the confines of like supercomputers and AI and stuff like that, when we talk about breaking past the limits of human capabilities and stuff like that and becoming other, this is the ability to literally self-reflect on your thoughts. And most people don't want to do that. They do not want to sit down and be one-on-one with themselves because they are distressed. They are deprived of
Yeah.
self-love. They don't accept themselves. They have so many wants and needs that are not being met. They have no idea where to even start. They're like, do I go back to when I was a child and I have all this trauma from being abandoned, or
Right.
like for I work with children for my day job, and it is horrific how trauma prone new children being born into the world are likely to experience. To just be born, and the first thing you experience is overwhelming senses of noises, barking, shooting, shouting, cars honking. Just that is enough. Let alone going into a household where people are literally screaming and fighting every day, and you see, honestly, like war torn streets, something that just shouldn't even still be happening in
Yeah.
2023, but we're
Yeah.
still
Well, and
poverty ridden.
without a doubt, that probably shapes your worldview and your sense of self awareness to a certain
Yeah.
degree forever. You
Yeah.
know, that probably has a huge impact on people that go through those
Yeah.
conditions and kind of have to navigate their reality tunnel based on those conditions that are set for them.
It must be incredibly difficult to first recognize the reality tunnel that would cause, that would create that component of the reality tunnel, and then to address it. And there's a lot of the all the emotional issues, like you said, um, all of that healing that needs to be done, so that the reality tunnel that you were trying to achieve was not as you know um, darkened.
Restricted or
Yeah,
dated, yeah,
yeah, not as
confined,
damaged. Yeah,
small-minded,
yeah.
a
Um,
lot of narrow-mindedness. Once you start getting into this is how my life is. This is just how things are. This is when nihilism starts seeping in because people truly believe there's no other way to be saved except for to pray that someone comes and saves you. Because my parents don't do it. The officials who are supposed to provide a better society for us do not do it. The school system has failed us. We have so many systems in place to hold people back on purpose instead of just helping people.
you,
They have figured it's just better to just, oh well, it don't matter.
your own reality tunnel, it I can tell, has been so shaped by what you've been through and also the work that you do, which I think we've already talked about other live streams that we can do, because I think you have a lot of knowledge and experience in areas that is something that is important to us in changing the world. And definitely you guys, because I'm probably pretty sure that everybody else who's watching in the community is going to be very interested in this aspect, because I really want to talk more about your work with the children, and what
I mean, there's a lot that really goes into that. I seen in
yeah.
the chat, I was glancing over. Scorpy said, trying to expose the generation of kids are being exposed to reality, right? And I am all for that. Unfortunately, we live in a society that the reality that they want to expose children to is completely asymmetrical to what it could be. And they're telling them that this is just how it is and they have to accept it. And
Mhm.
it's a gross distortion to the great possibility that they continue to tell children that it's in the future, don't worry. When you're an adult, you're going to have a job and a career, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to have a wife and kids, and everything's going to be peachy keen. Or they're just like, oh well, we have a bunch of bad adults, and adults just aren't going to ever going to get better. So it's going to be, what is this, like post-apocalyptic, nihilistic capitalism, just
Yeah.
robots hooked up to people sucking their life out
Yeah.
of them. Like I don't know.
And compare that to what the reality tunnels would be of people who are in the top 1%, and they're going off to these private schools in Switzerland, and this kind of reality that you're talking about, that you're involved in, is something that they wouldn't connect with
I think
at
about that
all.
a lot. Where I think about the kids who are taught on purpose that humanity is a resource, that as long as you have enough money, you could exercise. As long as you have the funds to move the people, your will be done. And that is the difference between an elite education and an everyday Joe education. Don't expect too much. Whatever you get, you better pray that it's like, be thankful, like
Yeah.
serve the community. Don't ask for anything. It's a completely different sense of reality. It's a completely different sense of self. And all this goes into building your reality tunnel. Like,
Yeah.
if we actually allow children to come into contact with the truth as they wanted to be exposed to it, it would be completely different. If all of a sudden the child was like, why is the forest burning? And we told them why the forest was burning, they'd be like, why isn't someone doing something? The children would ask us, why is someone not doing something? That's
Yeah.
insane. Where are the adults?
I think a good
Thank you,
comment
Morgan.
that kind of
Yeah,
reflects
thanks,
what you're
Mark.
talking about was from Jeannie Bottle. Jeannie Bottle said, controlled conditioning to a controlled society. And that's so true. And I think a lot of people, they get forced into this expected reality tunnel, like what you were talking about, of people buying a home, getting married, and having that cookie cutter lifestyle that's not necessarily right for everybody. And so they have these expectations. And the same goes for religious organizations. There's all these doctrines and things that are imposed on people that they think that they have to go through with in order to have a good life, and that's not necessarily true. And so when you look at all of these different reality tunnels, the title of this video is your reality tunnel harmful? And it's important to look at different aspects of what shape our reality tunnel and how that can be harmful to our life, even if we don't realize it. So like when you're looking at organized religion, a whole bunch of trauma comes from that. I know we've talked about that a lot on our channel. Morg talks about religious trauma syndrome. You have people who've broken away from religion. And Lee, you've talked about capitalism a lot. People that, are really kind of suffering in this expected lifestyle, this cookie cutter reality tunnel, in order to try and make money and, become a robot for society in the capitalistic machine that really does not benefit society. And so later on in the further part of the stream, we're going to talk about methods of identifying these aspects of your reality tunnel and how to remove them.
I think that we're talking about
Sorry.
if your reality tunnel is harmful or not. Earlier, you were talking about like just how us being involved with thinking about ourselves and shaping ourselves on purpose, playing a part in shaping how we view reality. So when you're growing up in a society, it's very heteronormative. It's very, don't forget to get a job because you're going to need to have a wife. And to have a wife, you have to be able to pay for a wedding, and you have to have kids and stuff like that. And the thing is, so many people do not want to live a heteronormative lifestyle, and they force it on us so much. And it's so terrible that the people who want to live a heteronormative lifestyle, they want to be housewives, they want to have their kids, they want to live in their white picket fences. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but if you say that you don't want to do that, they think that you're anti them, or you're anti Christian, or you're anti American, just because you don't want to live in a heteronormative relationship with someone else, or in however the lifestyle. It's like there's more people living with their roommates and their best friends and their siblings now than ever before, because back in the day, of course, you could afford to buy a house or live in an apartment just working a regular job. And Philip, you're right. I do bring up capitalism a lot, but it's only because of how detrimental it has been to humanity over time. Like, it's literally at this point where the rich and the wealthy have so much power, so much influence over everything. And it's literally a matter of them changing their minds and deciding, oh, you know what? Humanity does deserve to live in a better world for us to get there. And it would just take it's I think 1,000 like 300 or something billionaires in the world, and 700 of them live in the U.S. alone. It's one of those kind of things. There's enough billionaires that every state could have several billionaires, and they could have their own Hunger Games. Who's the best billionaire? Who's taking care of the best cities and stuff like that? Why aren't we putting the pressure on them, since they want to have this all this power? They have no responsibility except for continue to tax the small people and continue to hold back the small people and keep removing their rights, keep removing their education, because all billionaires or politicians are modern day is the same thing as the nobles of the past or the priests who decided that they were going to control the masses. It's just a different suit. It's just a different uniform, a different type of act.
Yeah, I think
Sorry.
no, that's okay. Listen, when I get on the soapbox, I know the feeling. Um, I've done it. I've done it. I think that the see where this is a whole different live stream, you guys. We're gonna have to come back and do the whole different live stream. But I hear you, and I think that there's going to be big backlash against all the stuff that has happened recently. That a lot of backlash. It's not going to fix everything by any means, but I think a lot of the
Thank
stuff
you,
that's been
Elise.
that a lot of yeah. Thank you, Elise and Cassidy got the membership, so that's awesome. Um, and hi, Becca. Yeah, hi everybody. I don't even know that I said hello
I
to
know we
every.
didn't say
Yeah,
hi to anybody else.
we haven't even been in yet, but we will. We're going to come in and see what you guys are talking about. But a lot while you were talking, I was just thinking about how important reality tunnels are, because to understand where those people are coming from and how do we, what do we do to um, into communicate with the people who we want to get to understand our position, and first it's understanding where they're coming from, what reality tunnels are they in. Hi Pooks. They're joking in there. But I was wondering if we have so many other things that we wanted. Oh my goodness, I
Yeah,
can't
it's
believe.
cool. We should keep going.
Yeah. One of
Yeah.
the things that is important to note with reality tunnels is that just because everybody has a unique one. Some people may have very similar ones, but each individual has one that is uniquely theirs. That doesn't mean that there's as many individual realities as there are people, which is
Oh,
something I
right.
think is a mistake that people can easily make when you're trying to understand these concepts. And you
Yeah, it's
hear
definitely an overlapping.
yeah, well, people tend to think, you hear them saying, "Oh, there's as many true realities as there are people," and that's not at all what we're saying. There is an objective reality that is the same for everyone, and that, of course, we've talked about a lot. That is the waves that make up everything. That is the underlying. Um,
Tiny sort of
yeah,
waveforms.
yeah, that's the underlying um, form, the mathematical frequency that is the same for everyone, regardless of what
Mm.
senses you have, what reality tunnels you have. That is the same objective reality for everybody. It's the way in which we can interact with that is different. So
And Susan, you and I also did a recorded chat about objectivity, didn't we?
yeah, I think we
After the Susan
I
reality
think
video.
so. I think we have talked about that. And so I just want to point it out again, because sometimes when the concepts come with something that says, "Oh, there's unique perspectives," that can lead people down the wrong path and thinking, "Oh, that infinite amount of realities exists. Just whatever you believe, that's true for you, and then the other person's truth for them, and they're both real." It's not. It's the objective reality is the same for both, which is the waves. Okay, everything else is our own individual, what sensory apparatus we have, what reality tunnels we have, our thoughts, our perceptions, all of that, the subjectivity, that's all ours. But we all share the same objective reality. So if
Yeah.
anybody has any questions about like understanding that, because that really is an important point.
I want to make a comment on what you were saying. You were talking about our sensory apparatus, and I want to kind of go into more detail about that because it's easy to do like so when we're talking about our avatar form, if we're interacting with another human, we have a sense that they can see us like we can see them. They can voice like we voice. They can hear us. They can feel, touch, taste, all the same things that we can to a degree, right? Now, when you're standing in the room with maybe your mother or your auntie, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's cold and you're hot, right? They're experiencing a different type of sense than you, right? Now,
Mhm.
if this is someone who has a particular type of disease or illness that is pervasive, it happens often, this deficiency or this particular sense is going to affect how their reality tunnel is shaped. When they go into certain places, they're going to immediately become uncomfortable. They may no longer have the same sense of satisfaction doing certain things with people. And this is not just human to human, but depending on species. In the news lately, we've been talking about aliens and stuff like that. So imagine we're talking about material aliens and stuff like that, and they have developed different particular senses, right? So what happens if we see these physical alien bodies and they're waving in the air? And to us, it looks like they're not doing anything, but to them, they're literally interfering with radio frequencies because they've developed the type of either technology or a physical organ that can allow them to do that. Now, how they view reality is going to be different. And if you're closed minded, if you see stuff like that and it disturbs you and it bothers you, then you're going to conjure up feelings of rage, disgust, because it's going to go against how you view reality. Because you're like, they're not doing anything real. They can't possibly, aliens don't even exist and all this other stuff. So it's going to frustrate you because it's something that you don't want to think about. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, they completely want to sweep this under the rug. Like, oh, I understand reality tunnels. But reality tunnels are literally that complex. And we're not even talking about looking at it from the triadic perspective when you're moving outside of just the avatar perspective, right? But just to keep it simple, we can look at it just in that frame and see how complex it is and why it's important to have an open mind and be patient when we're interacting with others because we don't know what other sensory issues other people might have. Some people might be noises might bother them, or they might have light sensitivity, certain taste smells might disturb them. And if every time they're disturbed, we become disturbed or we become upset, then it becomes very hard for us to foster a relationship with these people because all we're giving them is frustration in their moments of need or difference or asymmetrical experience that they're having, right? So I feel like that's kind of a lot of the reasons why there's so much war and strife that goes on because other people just don't believe you when you say that you're hurt, upset, sad. They believe that they know better than what you're feeling, right? And that's not true. Like you can't tell somebody else what their feelings actually are, even if that other person doesn't fully know what their feelings are. You can help walk them through that so that they can slowly discover the flavors of their feelings. But
Yeah.
most of the time, a lot of that's going to be something that they have to experience personally, right? Because that's what that is. It's not the formal aspect; it's the experiential aspect. The agency that is observing your thoughts, right? So just that caveat to remember when we're interacting with reality
Are
tunnels.
you okay, Susan?
I'm fine. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me coughing, but I was muting myself for the audience. And I just want someone to tell me that I please muted me and not Lee.
Oh yeah.
I hope you guys can hear me.
I think somebody would have said we can hear Susan coughing and we can't hear Lee. So hopefully it was okay. And I'm sorry, yeah, I'm having an episode, so thanks, Cassidy.
Mark
Hey,
said
Mark, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I
I
agree.
was just gonna say Mark's comment was human beings perceive something like 1 millionth of the electromagnetic spectrum and still have the nerve to say show me where it isn't real,
Yeah.
instead of saying let's reason about this from the best available evidence. And I love that reason
Yeah.
comes into play in a huge way. And so Lee, when you were talking about the complexities of different reality tunnels, in my mind, I was also thinking on the opposite side of the scale of that, you also have incredibly simplistic, or at least they seem simplistic,
Right.
reality tunnels. And I was thinking, while you were talking about aliens, I was thinking about animals and how, they have their own reality tunnels as well. They are based on subjective experience or qualia, and they don't reason like we do because they don't have the level of consciousness that we do. And so it's hard to try and think about what they probably experience. And like Mark was talking about the different electromagnetic spectrum. There's all kinds of insects that experience reality differently than we do. And I talked about this a little bit in our Senses in Reality video. It's amazing to think about all the different complexities of reality tunnels. And so, just to complicate things to another level, I wanted to say to you guys, there's also, when we talk about reality tunnels, we've been talking a lot about our individual reality tunnels, but there's also collective reality tunnels, which you can think of as paradigms. So on our channel and on Morg's channel, you hear the word paradigm quite a bit. So just because the title of this video is Harmful Reality Tunnels, a couple of harmful paradigms are the paradigm of organized religion, which we've talked about, the paradigm of Christian nationalism, which is a caveat of organized religion, but you have Christian nationalists that want to impose dangerous or harmful legislation on people like LGBTQ, trans community. And then you have the paradigm of capitalism that we've talked about. You have the paradigm of energy, which is a caveat of capitalism. And that's our dependency on fossil fuels and gas and coal and oil and all the things that are harmful to the earth. And then you also have the paradigm of scientific materialism, which kind of holds humanity back from our actualization into a more advanced society and having a greater understanding of what reality is. So, just to kind of put a cap on that, in the Neogenian system, we promote a paradigm of mind. You probably have heard that a lot in our videos and on Morg's channel. A paradigm of mind is what we want to move to. And so we have to create a society of hyper-aware individuals that are working towards a collective consciousness of unity. And there's a lot of work that goes into that, but we have to be able to shape our reality tunnels to be able to create that society of hyper-aware individuals.
Well said. Really well said.
Yeah. And so some of the work that goes into that. Yeah. What's that?
You guys want to jump into the chat for a second?
Yeah, let's see some of the comments.
There's so many people talking in there.
Mom Mitchell's in the chat. Hi, Olga.
And hi to everybody who has come in. There's a lot of people in here. Hi, Corbus, and hi, Andy. I don't think I said hi to Scorpy and Alberto. And of course, I said hi to Mom. Hi, Eric. I don't know who I've missed, if it was somebody up top. Hi, Joanna.
I hope you guys are definitely going to go get a chance to read the article, even if you guys just skim through it and stuff like that. That was more of a very introductory article on reality tunnels. I'm actually working on another article that hopefully Susan will be able to go over in the next few days.
I am going to. I already told you that I would hopefully do it Sunday. We usually, when we're doing a live stream beforehand, I'm working on getting notes ready and looking into things. I always do more looking into than we ever get a chance to talk about. But we do have...
I posted your article in the chat again, just for anybody who...
Oh, there it is. Hi, Pooks. And hi, Becca.
So...
yeah, really definitely check the link out.
Go check out Lee's article and share it, and you can most definitely
give him a follow.
Expect to see more stuff.
Yep, give him a follow on Medium. Medium is a really good. I'm just going to put. I'm not. We don't get paid for this. I just really like Medium. I keep finding new people to follow, and they send me a email, I think, every day with a few stories that they think I might be interested in, and I find it's a good site. You do have to sort of pick and choose. Not everybody is, you know, giving serious information. I think there's, there's some that you find just read the about,
Yeah.
learn about them. Use your critical thinking.
I think it's
Yeah,
definitely
and
a black hole you can fall into.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Oh, we
accidentally
lost
muted
we
yourself.
lost we lost your audio. You back?
Just really quick to get back into what I was saying while Lee gets his audio back. When I'm talking about us shaping our reality tunnel so that we can become this society of hyperware individuals, you also have to reach the level of self-awareness to understand what your reality tunnel is and how to remove those aspects that no longer work for you, like organized religion that's traumatic and stuff like that. So we just have a little paragraph from Wikipedia here that I want to read. And Wikipedia says this is attempted through various processes of deprogramming using neurolinguistic programming, cybernetics, hypnosis, biofeedback devices, meditation, controlled use of hallucinogens, and forcibly acting out other reality tunnels. Thus, it is believed one's reality tunnel can be widened to take full advantage of human potential and experience reality on more positive levels. So, just to touch on that, don't do anything dangerous or illegal. We're not subscribing that hallucinogens will just cure any ailment that you have or any problems in your life. That's a controlled setting thing that
Yeah.
you need to research. But just to touch on that, when we talk about the process of self-actualization or the integration of different aspects of your psyche, like the shadow self that Carl Jung talked about, and Morg has a lot of videos on their channel about, there's different things that you can do in order to overcome different aspects of yourself and integrate those into you in a healthy way to shape your reality tunnel into becoming a more hyper aware individual, whether that's overcoming addiction or tackling your past trauma. There's all kinds of different things that you can do in order to overcome those things and become a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And that really does shape your reality. And when we do that on a collective scale, we shape the collective.
Yeah. So individual shadow work and also collective shadow work is really important. I think we should do another whole stream on just shadow
Yeah,
work and
because all
interstellar
of those
actualization.
negative aspects, like homophobia, xenophobia, racism, hatred, all of those, unfortunately, are parts of people's reality tunnel. And until people become self aware enough to be able to understand that those things are wrong and harmful to other people and to the collective, we won't be able to make a change. So, by increasing consciousness, by elevating consciousness rather, and helping people become self aware, we can work to change those things and help people shape their reality tunnel in a more positive and constructive way for not only ourselves as individuals, but also for society so that we can have a unified society.
I think that it's really important that we actually talk about how, when we start moving into understanding the mirror self and the power self, how involved your reality tunnel becomes. Because if you think being powerful is literally just dominating other people or suppressing other people or reigning over others in any kind of way because it fulfills you to step on them, then that's part of your reality tunnel. That seems like it might be a problem for everyone else. It might not be a problem for you. So we also have to be critical in that. Just because you have a reality tunnel that's not a problem for you doesn't mean that we shouldn't be critical about it, right? When we're looking at the mirror aspect of things, when we're like, I'm a son, I could never be a daughter, or I'm a husband, I could never be a wife, or I'm a construction worker, I could never be a cook or a housewife in that sense, right? It's kind of like, but why? Why is it what you do limits you from doing something else, right? And once you start having that conversation with people, you're like, oh, well, then I won't be this anymore. It's not even that it's detrimental. It's not that it harms them in any way, but by performing an act within this category of this other archetypal pattern that lifts up or holds your reality tunnel together, it destroys your old archetype, your old reality tunnel. So that's why we have to be careful to what we subscribe to. People love the tapes and stuff like that, and they think, "Oh, I want somebody to tell my son that he needs to go to work and work out and respect himself and treat women like this. And the nuances of that sound really good. But how are we going about it? How are we going about spreading this information when really we're telling people, oh, if the other person doesn't receive and accept you in this way, F them, burn them down. They're going to be looking up at you when you're smoking cigars and you got Bugattis and stuff like that because you feel like that gives you status to reign over others and to shit on them, right? And it's like, what's wrong with you? Like, what are you actually thinking about? Like, the forest is on fire right now. The ocean is poisoned. Oxygen is literally drying up in the atmosphere. We're not being fake. It's not conspiracy. These are things that you could look up and research yourself. Like when we're talking about becoming woke or self-aware or aware of all, it literally means understanding what is going on in the world around you and realizing you play a part in the fact that these kids don't have food when they go to school and they have to be hungry because not enough people are outraged at the fact that everybody is okay that some people just don't have the money to send their kids to school to afford breakfast or lunch. So they have to sit there and be hungry all day. Don't you see how insane that is? Like
Yeah.
the simple fact that we are losing our children in a place of knowledge, that should be the holiest place in the world. You want to talk about churches and sanctuaries? Places of knowledge, of learning should be literally the most sanctimonious places in the world. No questions asked, because without knowledge, what would we have as humanity? What sets us apart as the animal avatars that we are from being able to do things that other animal avatars can't do is the accumulation of our knowledge, our communication, our understanding, and our insight. So just the simple fact that we, oh, it's cool to be smart and stuff like that, but let's
Mhm.
spend all of our money on sports or war or whatever. Not that sports can't be fun and not that competition can't be fun and not that conflict can't have resolution, but we have to completely restructure and reframe the importance of these things and how we feel about them. Because a lot of people's reality tunnel right now is that they are powerless and they can't do anything about it. And what we're trying to do is bring the power to you to let you know that it was never anywhere else but within you. All you got to do is drag it out. You just got to wake
Yeah.
it up. You got to want it. And a lot of people don't want it because you have to be responsible and accountable and you have to be burdened. I was talking to my family last weekend talking about my article and like metacognition and being self-aware. And one of my siblings was like, "Oh, so how does that benefit you?" And I told him that it doesn't benefit me. It is burdensome. And she was like, "What? I don't understand how." And it's like, okay, yes, of course, in the grand scheme of things, it does benefit the collective. It does help me not be psychotic or manic because those are things I could fall into, right? Instead, I'm trying to be clear minded and rational. That is burdensome because I have to be aware of not just my thoughts, but my drives, my wants, and the things that are bringing me down and holding me back. And I have to, on purpose, want to overcome those things. And if not, all I'll do is unconsciously fall into that path. And those things will control me. So, yes, it is burdensome. It is not something that is easy. Being woke and conscious isn't rainbows and sunshines and cupcakes and
Yeah.
lollipops. It's hard. It could be those things later, but right now it's hard. We're struggling. So, yeah, we need everybody to kind of wake up and be self aware. At least get to the point where you are thinking about your own thoughts. I don't need, of course, as a collective, we want everybody to step into absolute awareness. But I am please begging people on purpose, try to overcome your delusions by finding where you are lying to yourself simply every day. The moment you realize that you just performed an act of deceit onto yourself, stop it. Immediately
Mhm.
stop it. Confront it, become aware of it, and then ask yourself, why am I lying to myself? You know what? Okay, yeah, I got to go to work every day and I hate my job. So let me think about that and understand what I can do to change that. Is it my attitude at my job? Am I not communicating my needs well? What's happening? Because some things could actually be changed. Sometimes your life isn't just all awful. Sometimes if you actually speak up, other people will listen. And if they won't, then yeah, you need to have some boundaries and you need to get out of there. You need to respect yourself enough to know that you are a person and you don't need to be enslaved to a system to have a house, to eat, to be clothed, or to be educated. And
Yeah.
until you're ready to fight for that and to change the system on purpose, we are all going to continue to suffer. And that's it. So I'm done.
So
Sorry.
that was really great. Don't apologize for that. I just have to tell you, while you were going, there was a lot of hand clapping emojis in the chat, but there was one comment that I wanted to respond to you with. Uh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Right.
And so I'm sure everybody will see more of this in the members only too, because we're getting near our time. But I wanted to respond to you, Lee, with this comment from Laura. Laura said there is always room for improvement, no matter how good or well adjusted a person gets, no matter how enlightened or how much inner star actualization, there's always room for more work. And I think that highlights at least part of what you were saying, because you had a really great role there. But there's a lot of clapping emojis in the chat, and everybody was really enjoying that.
Thank you guys. Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely. I think
Susan,
about that all the
Susan,
time.
you're muted, Susan.
Oh,
I was
man.
muted. I was muted. Okay, hang on, hang on. I said that's the reason we wanted you on because of what you did, what you could do. And I read one of Mark's comments. It's a big problem that current power structures operate in such a way that many of the best people avoid positions of influence, while the people who want power for the sake of power seek those roles, which is, I thought, spot on. And
Absolutely spot on, Mark.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, everybody went crazy when you were talking, and you did such a good job. That
Thank
was.
you, everybody. I appreciate you all.
Can you can hear me now, right? I think I'm back. Am I
Yeah, we
back?
can hear you.
Yeah. No, you can hear me because
Cassidy said, "Okay, we're good." Mark
yeah.
said, "Not hearing something." Hopefully, you're back.
Yes, you hear. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I unmuted myself. Yeah. The reason you guys can hear me is because I don't mute myself in Zoom. So when I cough and I mute myself, it's complicated. Never mind. But I'm
Yeah.
back. But well
So
done. Well done, Lee.
just to kind of put a last minute bow on this entire conversation, since we're getting kind of close to the end, the importance of this live stream and highlighting all of these different things was to kind of make a point that we need to understand reality tunnels, so that not only we can understand how to communicate better with other people in their different reality tunnels, but also so that they can help, or so that we can help them understand the Neogenian system that we're trying to bring forward and creating a new society, a unified society that works for everyone. So, really great, role that you went on, Lee. And everybody, if you come into the members only chat after this, we're going to have that in just a few minutes. Everybody will get to talk to Lee some more. You can ask questions to Lee in the chat, and we'll just kind of have a relaxed
Yeah.
conversation in there.
I just want to say one more thing. I just didn't want to interrupt Lee because you were doing such a good job, but I want to say one more thing that in connection with this is like a parallel with reality tunnels. It's a sort of similarity, and that is the thank you, Elise. That is the concept of confirmation bias, which is when you seek out, you have your biases, you have all your beliefs, and the way that you look at the world. And confirmation bias is when you seek out evidence in the world that confirms what you already want to hear, and that is a really dangerous. That's a really dangerous way to operate because you're not actually going after truth. You're just looking like for an example, the vax. Oh no, that's not a good topic because then we all have fights about. Well, I know you can, but let's say if it's a religious oriented thing where somebody says, "Oh, do you know they found evidence of Noah's Ark or something?" That's
Right.
like they don't look at any
Right.
right there was they don't look at any other evidence. Or, for example, when they say that dinosaurs lived with people, because they have to come up with something
Right.
that
Yeah.
will explain that. So they'll find some footprint or something, and they'll look at that one thing that says that says
Morgan's video was a perfect example of that today when we were talking about the emerald tablets, the tablets of thought.
yeah.
Those. I think that a lot of people are so invested in trying to figure out this mysterious aspect of reality, this soul, God, spirit, non-local. They're so confused. It's so hush hush. We're not allowed to talk about it in mainstream media. It's considered making history just talking about aliens, and that's disturbing. When anyway, we're not going to get into that. At this point, people really have to be willing to wake up and realize that you can't just think whatever you want. People want to believe in Furbies. Like they want to believe that gremlins are out there at night or there's monsters under the beds because they want to be scared. They want to conform to some kind of ideology that puts fear into their life that they don't actually have to know is real, but then they can use it as an excuse. Like, oh, that's the devil, let me just go over here. And then they don't have to actually worry about it. You don't have to be self aware or conscious or responsible. Like, no, like you if you want to actually know something, know it. Educate yourself on it. Research it. Go out of your way to figure out what this is actually saying.
It's what the main message of that is, and I've done it too. I go and look something up because somebody will say something that immediately I don't like it. It's not the thing that I want to hear, and you go and you look, and sometimes you find that the rational evidence, the consensus, the experts on something tell you something, and you may not like it, and
Yeah.
it's facing that rather than saying I don't like that and I'm going to go look for one article that does agree with the way I want to think. And
Mark says people love a good narrative.
yeah, and I mean it's just something to look out for in terms of biases, reality tunnels, because if confirmation bias is part of your reality tunnel, it's going to cause you problems. You're just not facing truth.
Yeah.
So we are. Oh, I just want to say thank you to some people because we're already out of time. Thank you to everybody who gifted. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for all the likes and comments.
Yeah.
We appreciate that support.
And
Flower Dragon, Morg.
yeah, we have Flower Dragon, Morg, Eric
Magic
gifted,
Pizza.
Elise gifted, Corvus gifted. Thank you
Yes,
so
Corvus,
much.
thank you. Wow.
Really, really appreciate it. And hi, Joanna, and thank you. Member for
And
19
also,
months. Awesome.
Please don't feel like you have to support monetarily. I know we're kind of a small channel, but we support even just the likes and comments and shares. You guys are great.
We love the fact that you're here and interacting and find it valuable. That's awesome. I did want to say one more thing about something that I saw in the comments though that I thought was important. Clips. Somebody said this would be great to divide into clips. And
that was more.
That was more. Okay. Yeah, I think absolutely we will do that. It's been on my list of things to start doing. And hi, Pooks. Yeah, there's always one more thing. But no, that was a really good point. This will happen. I think you guys got a really good chance to meet Lee. Everybody in the members only, we're going to do just more, you'll be able to ask questions, find out more about his life. His job is fascinating, everything that you do. And I'm pretty sure Lee's going to come back. You can already tell there's a lot of topics that Lee would be really great to talk about. So we're going to say goodbye now and then give us a few minutes and we're going to hop into the secret stream, the members stream. I've already posted the link on the community board, so go there. All members at any level have access to that post. Click the link and come on in and we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, thanks, Morg. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, off we go.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Hello and goodbye. Antichrist, you said something funny earlier and it made me laugh. Okay, bye. Okay, we're off live.